Stand with me. Ours was no chance meeting. Not fate. Nor destiny. Ours was the work of something greater.
The enemy will never let Aragorn come to the throne of Gondor.
It is time.
Give him the sword of the king.
Become who you were born to be.
The precious sleepy eyes.
He means to murder us!
I'm not sending him away.
Come to me. To sit around and watch the same movies over and over.
I always thought you could have made a cool movie.
You're right. I'm living on borrowed time. No more watching movies. I'm gonna make a movie!
What's the movie gonna be about?
It's about him working here.
Meta.
This Organized Chaos podcast is brought to you by listeners like you. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to another Organized Chaos podcast. My name is Bobby Quarters, and we got a heck of a show today. The best, in fact.
Wow, the best
the
ever?
Top tier. Yes.
Wow.
In fact, best that ever is, ever was, and ever will be.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, it might be easier than the first episode of Rings of Power, but we'll get to it, because that is one of the things we're covering in this show. We'll be covering the first 4 episodes of Rings of Power, which
Yes.
I have opinions. But,
a lot happened.
Yes.
And that's coming from not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan, but
Yes.
I could tell you a lot happened.
Yeah.
What exactly, I'm not sure.
There is stuff. We'll get to it. Because, it's immediately coming off negative. I don't know if I dislike this, but I have opinions.
Yes.
There are definitely pluses to this show, though. It's not a complete, shit show or anything. We'll get to it.
No, not at all. There's stuff that even I'm kind of getting into with the show.
Yeah.
So they're drawing a not fan into it. So
yeah.
That's at least speaks for something.
Yes. And then after that, we will jump ahead 2,000 years in lore. I believe that's the timeline to Return the King, the third part in the Peter Jackson trilogy, theatrical cut, which I haven't seen these in a while. So, and then we will conclude with Clerks III, which is tonally on brand with the whole theme we're going with for this episode. I feel like Clerks would fit well in the Lord of the Rings universe, quite comfortably.
Well, 2 definitely. 2,
oh God, yeah. I mean, the Donkey Show.
Well, yeah. I was gonna say the Battle of Helm's Deep, but you can call it a Donkey Show. You know.
Sure, yeah. Why not? So, I want to say it was a slow news week because nothing caught my eye in particular, outside of one big thing, obviously. But,
there's one major thing that's been making the rounds that, in fact, I believe blew up as news as we were recording last week.
Yeah, I think it was about a week ago. Now, now I do want to stress, whenever I say, oh, it seems like a slow news week, the next week it's like, oh yeah, here's 5 things we should have covered.
Yes.
But that's because the news cycle got dominated by the release of the Little Mermaid live action teaser. You didn't get much of it. I actually haven't seen it yet. I've seen bits of it. And it caused the internet to blow up because Ariel is played by Halle Bailey, who is black. I don't care. But apparently there are people who still care. One thing I found interesting is that it was a while ago when it was announced that she'd be playing Ariel. It might have even been pre-pandemic when it was announced.
Yeah, I do believe it was announced pre-pandemic as well.
And all of a sudden these people are blowing up when it's like, we knew this going in. What, did you think they were casting a black Ariel and then, gonna change it without any warning? No, they're still doing that. And part of me almost feels like Disney is trolling these people to a bit with this type of stuff. Because it's so easy at this point. Like, just do anything and they freak. What were you going to add, Bobby?
I believe I heard something about that guy that you're showing his tweet about how he altered and edited their copyrighted material.
Mm-hmm.
He got a cease and desist, I believe, from Disney.
Yeah, well, this guy, I believe, has his account banned, as well as the @10gazillion IQ, who actually did it. If you're listening, the screenshot I have up is from this Jesse Moriarty at Vanderbilt, whatever. He's a piece of shit on Twitter. And it's a picture of white ginger Ariel over the original black Ariel by Halle Bailey. And it says, credits to our memer, artificial intelligence scientist at 10 gazillion IQ. He fixed the Little Mermaid and turned the woke actor into a ginger white girl. He says he can fix the whole movie when it comes out with 4 times a 6,024 hours. It's over for woke cells. Now, number one, I want to say I did look at this footage that he did. It looks good. It's too bad he's using it to be a racist piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's like how fucked up are you? Just no. I hate to tell these guys, if you want to see a Little Mermaid movie with a white Ariel, that fucking exists. And I also hate to tell these guys that these live action remakes have been pretty fucking bad so far.
Yeah, I can't think of one good one that they've had.
I enjoyed The Jungle Book. But
I haven't watched that one. I kind of watched the first few. Like, what was it, Lion King?
Well, Lion King was later.
Yeah, what was the first few that they had?
I think Jungle Book might have been early, but was like early in the wave. What was the first? Well, the first one they did was the Alice in Wonderland. Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland.
I think that's a different, metaverse one or something.
Well, yeah, no, it was definitely them, dipping their toes into it.
But it's also, just Tim Burton.
Yeah.
So it's hard to kind of... I'd say the only movie that I could not mistake it not being a Tim Burton movie would probably be Big Fish. But that still has his fingerprints.
Yeah, that still has his fingerprints, but yeah, it does feel more muted in that. I'm one of the few people who actually likes that one quite a bit. I thought he did a good job with that one.
Me too. I think I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot as well.
Yeah. But yeah, these live action remakes aren't good. Odds are the version with the white Ariel is going to be the fucking good one. But you guys are still outraged just because there's going to be a live action remake with a black Ariel. It's a fucking mermaid. And it's a fucking mermaid. And
sorry, go ahead.
Well, these guys' excuse is that, you guys said color doesn't matter. To my response is, yeah, color doesn't matter. Why do you care? We have the white version. Now they're going to do the black version, and the black version is probably going to suck, unfortunately. I'd love it if it was great, but it's probably going to suck. These guys just need to get over it. Holy shit. And then...
they're really... Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, I want to...
You finish.
I want to stress, you look at this tweet, and I'm going to go back to a part of it. He fixed Little Mermaid and turned the woke actor into a ginger white girl. Now ask yourself, what word is he using in place of woke? Now, he doesn't want to use that word because then it would be clear he's being racist, but yeah. Wow.
Oh, man. I love it when they antagonize with good time.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
It's...
I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, that's the thing. They just use woke, and because they don't want to be obvious with their bigotedness, but like, yeah, they use the word woke instead. But it's thin. It's a thin.
And sir, you
veneer.
Should be careful. Your robes are showing.
Yeah, it shows so easy. Like, just adapt woke into the worst possible word, and that's pretty much what they're intending.
Whatever they're trying to use it against or towards or relevance to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's bad.
And as I open up a news article, I see it like about 8 different times, and it's like, that's...
Yeah.
There's that.
Yeah. It's getting into mainstream stuff, too, which is scary.
That is kind of horrifying.
Yeah.
Well, here's something that's interesting. Like, you remember the original cartoon? Like the Disney cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point and plot of that movie, if you will, if you think about it, it is a girl changing everything about herself in order to be with a man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a little cringe.
It is.
I want to stress, I enjoyed that movie, especially as a kid. Yeah. But
yeah, as a kid, I did too, but I didn't even know any better of any of those like underlying things. These are things I see looking at it through an adult lens.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that it's like, let's not forget that. So, I mean, would you rather have kids, little girls in particular, have the message of that, or that this little mermaid isn't cool because of the color of her skin?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that one is the lesser of two evils or one is better than the other, obviously, but it's
well,
it's just funny that this it's absurd to me that this is pissing more people off about it.
Yeah, and like I said, it's the live action remakes. These things have a terrible track record so far.
They really do. I mean, I'll admit the only thing good about the more recent live action remakes is I think it was a smart move that Disney played it safe and didn't alter the character of Pinocchio a single bit.
I actually haven't seen Pinocchio yet, so...
Have you seen the trailer for it?
No, actually, I
haven't.
Because
they didn't alter him at all. It just looks like a CGI Pinocchio.
Okay.
My one question is there going to be that horrific scene of that boy turning into a donkey? Because that shit gave me nightmares as a kid.
Actually, I have heard that is like the most horrific scene in the new one. That they keep that in there, and it's just as bad.
That's just heartwarming.
Good old nightmare fuel for your kids. Good.
But they did remove the crows from Dumbo. I know that they did remove those. Tim didn't.
Oh
put those
God,
in
I forgot about Dumbo.
Reasons.
That one sucked too. That one's
that one was bad.
Yeah, you have to remove the crows because oh my God, but still that movie still sucked.
Yeah, that movie was still bad.
Yeah,
still horrible.
Yeah,
I mean, very good on you for taking the crows out, but bad movie.
Well, I
guess there is some.
I want to say like the main crow. The working name of the main crow is like Jim Crow or something like that, which is just
character name or something.
Yeah.
I don't. Hold on. We could also talk about the genius political stunt that Texas and Florida both did too.
Well, here, put a pin on that because I want to tell the story. Little Down Little Mermaid. To give some context, because I've heard a story that Little Mermaid is essentially the story of forbidden love. And Hans Christian Andersen wrote it at the time because he was crushing on another man. Which is... Yeah, when you look at the context of this type of story, it makes sense. So, I could see that. And... that's pretty much what I wanted to introduce because I've heard that story and it makes sense when you look at the context of this story. The forbidden love in the Hans Christian Andersen version, they never end up together, which makes more sense. The
lead crow in Dumbo. I was looking that up. Yes, he is in fact named Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Cliff Edwards.
That scene is very racist.
Cliff Edwards. He was Clifton Avon Edwards, better known as Cliff Edwards. I believe judging off of this photo, I'd say that he was a white man.
Yep, that sounds right. I want to say that those crows are almost as racist as making a fucking computer program designed to remove black people from a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's on a similar wavelength.
He was specializing in jazz renditions of pop standards and novelty tunes. He had a #1 hit of Singin' in the Rain in 1929. He also voiced animated cartoons. Later in his career, he was best known for the voice of Jiminy Cricket in Walt Disney's Pinocchio. Fun and fancy-free, and Dandy, in parentheses, Jim Crow, and Walt Disney's Dumbo. So I guess they later amended his name to Dandy Jim.
Yeah, try to hide that a bit better.
A bit, but hey, he's playing a ukulele.
Sure.
That's good, and I can't really knock him so much for taking and portraying that role, because at that time they would most often put a lot of stage paint on an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Call it a day.
Yeah,
and just tell them to do their best exaggerated performance.
Yeah, man. But now, what story did you find?
The move about I believe it was Ron DeSantis.
Mm-hmm. Oh God.
Who put a bunch of migrant workers on buses and sent them to Martha's Vineyard.
Oh, that sounds familiar. Yeah, I think I saw something about that.
Yeah, they're doing it as a political stunt, and now they're just turning it around as an attack on the left, saying that, they say they're all about helping arms, but look, they're turning them right back away. Look at this, and it's just like, they were dumped there, and you guys are using them as a political stunt, and now you're accusing the left of doing exactly what you did.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is all like everyone knows what you can see.
Mm-hmm.
What?
No, I
sorry, it's infuriating.
No, it drives all politics drives me nuts, because Democrats have become the party of let's do nothing and be incremental, and Republicans have become the party of let's just be the biggest assholes in the universe and do evil. And I find it frustrating so much. I wish more Democrats would stand out and just point out these Republicans.
I do too.
How could you not be just beating these guys into oblivion? They're fucking evil.
Seriously,
for fuck's sake.
I kind of feel that we need more politicians that were more along the lines of Andrew Jackson. Yeah, he was kind of a piece of shit and a racist, but you know what? He didn't take any shit.
Yeah.
Shit in Congress.
Yeah, for sure.
He'd stand up and slap somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Even if his time, he'd go over his allotted time. So,
I'll just say this: Ron DeSantis. There's no universe where you'll ever have my vote for anything.
Yeah, no, you are a plastic surgery nightmare. My God, I can't tell if he's had too many facelifts or too many strokes.
Are we ready for Rings of Power?
Yeah, I am, because if we talk more about that end, I'm going to just say some stuff and get our channel gone.
Oh, it's all good. YouTube allows outrageous speech on the right, so...
Yeah, they do, so they'd be okay with me calling a few spineless worms out.
Mm-hmm. So, on to the Rings of Power.
Yes.
So, before we really get into this, I want to stress that this might be one of the most beautiful series I've ever watched. This is... visually, this is gorgeous. It
does. I'll say that within the first, 30, 40 minutes of me watching the first episode, well, actually, near the end of the first episode, I should say, rather, because I was getting in here, and it's like, well, I see what the budget went into.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, this is gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's some gorgeous filming locations. I was very happy that Amazon has that stuff that pops up that tells you all that information. You kind of wonder while you're watching it.
Yeah.
And looking, oh, cool. They went back to New Zealand.
Mm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like that kind of Hobbit forest. I don't think that they are technically hobbits because they've never really called themselves
no,
hobbits.
they're supposed to be like Harfoots, which I think it's supposed to be like primitive hobbits. There is some debate where not Harfoots are supposed to be primitive hobbits or just a family of hobbits, but whatever. Here they're primitive hobbits.
As someone... that's what I figured, because I noticed, like, well, they're not really halflings. They haven't referred to themselves as that, or anything I remember the hobbits calling themselves. I'm assuming there's some, like, distant ancestors, because, again, I'm going in 100% blind to the lore, which is what I was excited about watching this, because maybe this will kind of spark more of an interest for me. And I'll admit, it kind of has.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to place in like the history of what I know already from the first three films, from those three films that we've just watched.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of what I know. And from what I can guess is that they're probably building up to that battle that we see in the beginning of Fellowship.
Yeah, no, this seems like the story that leads to that battle, which would be a good, like, that's a good story to tell, because you would end with the death of Sauron and stuff like that. And
I'll admit it's kind of what I'm hoping for, and what I feel is totally going to happen. And as we talk more about the show, I'll say, like, this is why I think this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like, they haven't really mentioned it, but I mean, I remember in Fellowship, they had said that, the alliances, or like the dwarves and the elves have lived together in peace for years and years. Like, the history of them goes as long back past the war.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember hearing that, and like, it kind of Legolas and Gimli kind of playing off with that in all the interactions. That is just what I gathered. I think they had mentioned it in dialogue. I don't know. We've kind of watched a lot of Lord of the Rings stuff.
Yeah.
But I can't remember exactly. But
within the past couple weeks.
Yeah, but I remember hearing something along those lines with it. And really the relationship between the elf and the dwarf in this one, I get a lot of it like, I know that, our people are at peace, but like fuck you. Like, they personally have a history.
Yeah,
and I kind of like how it's been playing out, and it's definitely a long-stated one, because we hear from a past story that the elf tells the dwarf's wife that it's when they were younger. So I'm assuming it was probably while they were on a hunting trip or something, or maybe some minor battle that we have yet to know about.
well, the characters you're talking about are the elf is Elrond, and then the dwarf is Durin. Elrond is Hugo Weaving in the movies. But I do like their friendship that we've seen. When we first get them introduced,
that elf is Hugo Weaving's character.
Yes.
Okay, that must have gone completely over my head.
Yeah, it's the same guy, much younger version.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, elves.
Yeah, I figured
elves
that.
are long lived.
Well, I know that they live forever.
Yeah, and pretty much until they get killed.
Yeah, I was just curious as to like exactly before Fellowship, when does this start? Because obviously this takes place long before like the events of the
No, it's around 2,000 years, I believe.
Okay.
But yeah, I like the relationship between Elrond and the elf, because Elrond first goes to that cave. He's like, "Oh, Durin's a great friend. We'll get along great." And then Durin, he gets there, and Durin's pissed at him. It's like, dude, you missed my wedding. You have, Durin's essentially like, dude, we were good friends, and you haven't even bothered to contact me for fucking 20 goddamn years. And you know what? I kind of understand that 20 years to elf is nothing. 20 years to a dwarf. Oh my god, dude, are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you just dip out and then you want to come back and act like we've been hanging out like yesterday? Get fucked.
Yeah.
And then kind of the repair of the relationship. I like that. I really like that aspect of the story. Now, I I have issues. Because especially the first episode, I feel like it's getting better. But that first episode is a bit of a chore.
It was a bit rough. It was a bit rough.
Like I said, it's visually great. There are some very cool moments even in that episode. But, they are jam-packing you with exposition dumps. There's a lot to take in that first episode. After that, it's a bit easier. And I feel like it's getting easier as we go. The story's getting a bit more... I'm getting a bit more involved. We saw Sauron briefly. Great look for Sauron, by the way. We've never seen like Sauron without the armor before, so okay, cool. It's established he's an elf. I believe that's established in lore, but I don't remember exactly.
But really? Yeah. He didn't just fall from the sky?
Yeah, well, the mysterious stranger that fell from the sky. I read a theory about who he is, and I think if Amazon has rights to this character, it's definitely him. Do you have any theories on who he is?
I think it's Sauron. That's a red herring.
No, we've already seen Sauron. Sauron was the guy in the cave with the prisoner. You let the prisoner go with the message. Yeah, he's the sorcerer. No, do you have any theories besides that for
That was my theory.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was just like, like... Okay.
Yeah, no, Sauron's there. He's in power. No. I'm pretty sure the stranger is Gandalf. If they have the rights to the character. That's the only reason I can see why it wouldn't be. Because Gandalf himself is supposed to be quite long-lived as well. And, yeah, if they have the rights to Gandalf, they're definitely gonna fucking use him.
Yeah. I didn't even think of it being Gandalf. I thought it would have been before his time.
Yeah, that's the thing. But yeah, I think he's very long-lived as well. He's been around for a while as well. In fact, I think his time is actually before this. But maybe there's a storyline where he's lost his memory or something. That's the thing. Lots of people are acting like this isn't book accurate, and they're ignoring the fact there isn't a book for this. There's literally 4 books that Tolkien wrote about the Lord of the Rings universe, Middle-earth universe, whatever you want to call it. There's 4. There's The Hobbit and the 3 Lord of the Rings movies. That's it. Or movies. 3 books. I think he might have even written Lord of the Rings as 1 volume to begin with.
Yeah, didn't he originally, I think, wasn't Lord of the Rings and, the first half of 2 Towers 1 book?
I don't know. I'm thinking that when initially released, it might have been all 3 as 1 book, but maybe they did 2. I don't know. But yeah, they've obviously split it up because he did kind of have.
No, it was all 1 book. Yeah, and his Fellowship was chapter 1.
Yeah,
2 Towers was chapter 2.
Yeah,
and Turn of the King is chapter 3.
Holy shit! But
and then it had about 8 prologues.
Oh yes, we're getting to that. We're getting. But yeah, this whole series is essentially just based on appendices and notes. So obviously the writers of this series have a bit of leeway in what they're allowed to write, because otherwise you don't have anything. For all the people crying about, there's black hobbits and a Latino elf. No, I haven't. I meant to look up his name, but I actually really like the Latino elf character. I'd like to call him something besides Latino elf.
Oh, you mean that badass elf?
Yeah, the badass elf. That you know who it is.
That one that had a demon gore, an orc dog chewing on its own chain in a root cage. Yeah, you mean that badass motherfucker? Okay.
Yeah, the guy who fucking. When he needs an arrow, just grabs the one shot at him from fucking midair and reloads his bow with it. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that guy. Arondir. Yeah, he's badass. But for all the people complaining about this shit, I want to stress, this is a really fucking white show. I mean, what the fuck are you people talking about? Seriously. I am so confused by this.
Yeah, really. Really.
I
mean, there's a town called White Tower.
There's
the White Castle, and it's like, my God, it is just an overabundance with it when it's on screen.
Yeah. No, like there's just so many white people in this series. Just get over it. Holy shit.
Real. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah. But yeah,
get the hell over yourself.
Yeah. I'm definitely at the point where I'm interested to see where this series goes. I want to see where season 1 ends. Oh yeah, and I actually purposely grabbed this poster because that sword that kid has, that thing's like really evil and fucked up and kind of cool at the same time. It's definitely some sort of demonic thing. But yeah.
Well, my first clue that it was super evil was a combination of A, it was buried in a barn, and B, the second he uncovered it, some demonic whispers and winds picked up.
Yeah.
Those are usually two indicators that I would leave something alone. Like, if I'm staying in a house and I find a book in the basement that has Latin in it, hey, I'm not going to figure out what that Latin says. I'm just going to go, close you and put you back right where I found you.
Well, the other indicator of the sword is in order to like it's just like this hilt and a little bit of a blade. To really form it, what you gotta do is stab yourself with it and get some blood into it. And then it'll become a blade. That's fucking evil.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's I assume that's gonna be some sort of Sauron thing. It seems to have like a hold on the kid too, which makes me think it'll relate to the One Ring as well.
Well, I also think the guy the guy who confronted him at the end of episode 4, the guy who he stole the sword from in his barn, I have a feeling that kid might end up killing him accidentally, or the blade might compel him to.
Maybe, yeah. That blade, I think that blade's definitely going to relate to the One Ring.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I meant to look it up. I don't remember how many rings of power there are in the mythology. I want to say between 15 to 20. But, it all relates down to the One Ring, which is the one Sauron makes for himself.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the series is a little slow going, but it's beautiful. I love the elf. There's a couple characters I dig. I love the elf character. I'm interested in the stranger. Galadriel looks badass, but she hasn't really grabbed me yet, but maybe she will. But yeah, I'm intrigued by this series.
I'm really enjoying the dynamic between the stranger and the half-laden child.
Yeah, what's her name? Nori? Yeah, I like the dynamic between Nori and the stranger, and the dynamic between Durin and Elrond.
Yeah.
Those are all great. Like, this isn't bad. It's not grabbing me as much as I hope, but it is grabbing me. So we'll see how the season ends, but I'm intrigued. It's a bit of the first episode's a bit of a chore, and it's easier after that. But
yeah,
I would definitely say if you're interested in Lord of the Rings stuff, check it out.
By the end of the second, it's a fairly easy watch.
Yeah, for sure.
Third episode goes by real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem like an hour like the others do.
Yeah. Well, that first one's like an hour and 10 minutes. Feels like 90.
Yeah.
It's a bit much. Are we ready to move on to more Lord of the Rings?
Yes. Oh.
Yes. The Return of the King theatrical edition. So this is a really good movie that really could have used a more expedient ending. I feel like this watch through, that ending really hit me hard. It definitely has like 5 or 6 endings in this thing. So many fades to black where it's like... Yeah.
Epilogues.
Yeah, epilogues, yeah.
8 or 9, yeah.
And once we get to it, it's fine, but like it feels like the movie ends and then we're gonna do a bit more, then ends. We're gonna do a bit more.
Yeah, at some point you're kind of expecting the credits to keep rolling up as they're still showing us all this.
Yeah.
But nope, we're still getting it.
And there's even a point, like in the middle of the ending, where Frodo does some narration. And I know it's a cheap trick, but there's a reason why lots of people do it. Have Frodo just do some quick narration so you can do quick shots at the end. Be like, okay, Aragorn takes his place as king. Sam finally asks Rosie out. They get married. You can go through this stuff much quicker and expediently just having Frodo narrate it and showing us key shots. Instead of actually showing us the whole scenes for these things. Which, hey, I appreciate you shot it. But that's really for the extended version. For the theatrical, you need to be a lot sharper. Come on.
Like, they could have probably ended it right after Aragorn says, "You bow to no one."
Yeah.
To that, and then have the scene of Frodo's narration come in right there. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
so I
go
would have
over.
ended it.
Yeah, you know.
And maybe during that narration, show a shot of Frodo and Gandalf sailing away.
Yeah. And I want to stress, I still really like this movie. The theatrical cut.
I enjoyed this. I did enjoy it, yeah.
The theatrical cuts do not make it clear what happens to Saruman and Wormtongue, which I thought was interesting. I think it just says they're trapped in the tower. And I guess we have to get the extended to see them die. It's something I did not remember not seeing in the theatrical.
Well, I would not enjoy watching Bradley Dorff die.
No. We've seen him die many a time.
Yeah.
He usually does. That's what happens when he plays the villain as much as he does.
Well, I mean, there's one time he didn't play the villain and he still died.
Where was it? Where he
classic.
didn't? Oh, is it?
It's a classic.
Okay, now you've got me. Okay, what is it? I'm gonna die unless I know.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, for sure. Okay, yeah.
It's a classic.
Yes, it is. It's also been a classic. It's probably been at least 10 years since I've seen, but it is a classic.
Oh man, it is a good one.
But yeah, as far as this movie, I do really dig. For as long as these movies are, you don't really feel it. There's a good flow to them that Peter Jackson. Listen, it's been a little while since my coffee. Okay,
it's all right.
He's got a good flow to these movies, and I love the characters. The actors all do great jobs with them. I was thinking of something, but now I brain farted on it. Oh yeah, but I do think it's interesting throughout most of this series having Frodo be pretty resistant to the ring, although you see hints that he's kind of falling under the spell. And kind of here, what I like about the ending is how much it mirrors the ending, the beginning of Fellowship between Isildur and Elrond. And like they mirror the shots here, except it's Frodo and Sam. Sam saying, "Throw it in," and Frodo's kind of like, "No, I don't think I will." It's like, oh, no, Frodo. This is what everything's been for you. You have to do this. I'm sorry. I know you're addicted right now, but you gotta fucking do this, dude.
You have to, man.
Mm-hmm.
You have to.
But of course, obviously, Gollum ends up being the new component that Isildur and Elrond didn't have. And I guess you could argue that Gollum's the hero of the story. Because he ends up destroying the ring.
Yeah, he does.
In his violent attempt to save it.
And his own, like, desperate need for it.
Yeah.
He spent too much time embracing it, even though if he were to put it on, it wouldn't have helped him. He still would have died.
Yeah. Well, one thing, Gollum, played by the great Andy Serkis, and we actually get a little bit of Andy Serkis outside of mocap suit in the beginning of this, which is a nice touch. I forgot about this.
Yeah.
You get the origin of Smeagol, who kills a guy just to get the ring.
He kills his friend.
Yeah.
Just for the ring.
Yeah. Well, I do believe it is a rule. Smeagol said it was his birthday. It is a rule where if it's your birthday, you can just claim something, and if your friend says no, you can kill him. That's allowed, right? No?
Maybe.
No?
Sure. Maybe.
Okay, maybe.
I didn't say no. I said maybe.
Maybe that's mildly illegal, and by mildly I mean super.
Not in certain states.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess every state has its own laws on little things like murder, but you know.
Yeah.
States' rights, damn it.
Be a statist, not a nationalist.
But yes, one thing that they don't, like, for all the endings they had, I'm surprised they didn't do at least a little something for Legolas and Gimli, which, again, they could have done expediently if they had Frodo doing the narration, go through all these stuff quickly. But I like the ending of their story in the book, which is simply, they go off adventuring again together till the end of their days. It's like, that's awesome. They just became best friends during that whole experience, and when everything was done, it's like, yeah, we're not done. We're gonna keep going.
Let's find some more orcs and kill them.
Yeah, fuck it, sure.
Right.
I'm sure there's some running around.
Sure, we didn't kill all of them.
Yeah.
Let's go make sure.
It doesn't matter how big they are, Legolas, they count as one.
They still count as one. I mean, I actually counted in that part.
Mm-hmm.
I would say there was probably, I want to say I counted about maybe 7 people total on that elephant.
Yeah, there was quite a few. Yeah, he had to kill
so
that Oliphant. If you count the Oliphant, it's at least 5 to 10 people. So, I mean, it counts for a lot.
That does.
But yeah, speaking of friendships, I like the Legolas Gimli stuff in this movie, as well as in the other ones. Their friendship was a good aspect that carries over from the books decently well. They do play Gimli more for comedic effect here. They do a bit in the books, but the books also have more time to flesh him out as well, which we don't get as much here.
Yeah, I kind of felt he was definitely more comic relief in this one.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I feel like every entry, we have to have Gimli be a bit of comic relief, and we have to have Legolas do something badass. And the first one, it was so simple. It's like, he took an arrow out of his quiver, stabbed an orc in the face, and then shot another orc with it. It's like, simple, but badass. And then, in the second one, he has that shield, and he slides down the shield and shoots a whole bunch of orcs with it, like, really fast. It's like, okay, a bit much. And then here we have the Oliphant, and it's like, wow. I'm glad it ends with 3, because it's going to get ridiculous soon.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really get much, like, badassery from Gimli, even though my man was carrying a warhammer.
Yeah, true.
He probably Robert Baratheoned a few of those.
Oh, you know it. You know.
Yeah, I kind of want to see that.
Mm-hmm, for sure. But yeah, I would say, despite their length, these movies are really good. There's a reason why they're kind of considered classics. And Peter Jackson with his effects are so goddamn good. Although, another thing I noticed was when Mordor was collapsing and lava surrounded Frodo and Sam, we once again have lava that follows Mario rules, which is always a fun touch. But, yeah, good movie. Is there anything you want to add?
No, and I think I will say after rewatching all these in order and kind of to build up to Rings of Power, I kind of do have a new appreciation for them. Like, they are great movies in the sense of filmmaking. Stories, okay, just I not really my thing, but it's okay, and I can get into it. I mean, but knowing more of the lore, I would probably enjoy them more. So this is also kind of what makes me excited about the new show, because it is, again, kind of what I want.
Yeah.
The lore. So.
For sure. Well, like I said, it's... Well, I think I brought up, I was in high school when I read these books. So it's been a while. It's a little rusty, but
Yeah.
I remember enjoying them. That being said, it's worth noting the books are a little slow, and the it does kind of remind me of Rings of Power with the speed. So Rings of Power does at least have that going for it. It's in keeping with the tone of the books. Are we ready for Clerks 3?
Yeah.
Yes. And the third part of our Lord of the Rings trilogy, this episode will, of course, be Clerks 3, which fits into the Lord of the Rings trilogy very nicely if you are creative with it.
Yeah.
No, unfortunately, we're recording this on the 19th, and I guess this movie was available to go see in theaters from the 13th to the 18th. So I guess if you're listening to this and you didn't go see it, I guess you missed it. I'm sorry.
We're going to give a lot of spoilers away for this.
Yeah, we're going to spoil a lot of it. And the only thing I want to say going into this is that I overall really like this. This is Kevin Smith's best movie in over a decade, probably. But before we get into details, I just really enjoyed this. Kind of broad.
Yeah,
what were your broad thoughts, Bobby?
Without giving anything away, I'm going to echo a lot of what you said, really. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed everything about this. I feel it was the perfect bookend to the Clerks saga.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely Kevin's best movie in years.
Mm-hmm.
It is his best. This is definitely his opus, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least his masterpiece.
Well, I can tell you two elements that really elevate this movie. And those two elements are Jeff Anderson and Brian O'Halloran.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, I had no idea those guys were such good actors.
Yeah, I didn't know the chops that these guys had. They've always blown me away in even bit parts.
Yeah.
Even when I see them and stuff outside of Kevin's stuff, I feel they're great. But man, they acted their asses off in this.
Yeah. They've always been good in the characters. I especially appreciate, Jeff Anderson and his line delivering for Randall. It's just been perfect. But
he has, perfect delivery.
Yeah. They show off dramatic chops here, and I had no idea they had those. And it's like, where the hell have these actors been? Why am I just seeing this now? These guys are power fucking houses at this. I do recommend going into this with Kleenex. You probably will need it. There are quite a few moments where it's like, oh god, wow.
Bring tissues. You'll need them.
I do want to stress, I feel like part of what holds this movie back is that I actually feel like, as far as raw filmmaking wise, I feel like Kevin Smith probably did a better job with Clerks 2. This has a better, this I think has a better script. And like I said, Jeff Anderson and Brian O'Halloran, best performance I've ever seen from the two of them, period. No question. Not only they're funny, but yeah. But I feel like Kevin Smith set up Dante in his script for something for a path he didn't take. And it feels like probably a rewrite to me. I'm being kind of vague because I don't want to get spoilers yet, but we will spoil it.
We're getting into the point where we're gonna have to.
One thing that disappointed me immediately going into the right in the beginning of this movie is it establishes that Becky, Rosario Dawson, who was in the second one, who Dante hooked up with in the second one, died soon after that movie. Soon after the final scenes of them, she had passed away. We later find out it was around the time that their daughter was about to be born. Yeah.
So Dante lost both his wife and his daughter.
Yeah, it was I'm pretty sure they established it as drunk driver that
it was a drunk driver that hit them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was disappointed to see. At first, I was like, "Oh, is she not in this movie?" But she actually is in this movie, just very brief.
She is.
Yeah, she has like 2 or 3 scenes, I want to say.
Yeah.
And they're good. And then at the end of the credits, there's a bit where it says, thank you for Rosario for coming in between being a Jedi to shoot some stuff for the movie, which makes me think that might have been written this way to just give her, because they couldn't give her a full role because he was busy doing Ahsoka.
Yeah, she was busy being a Jedi Knight.
Which is more forgivable because I was super disappointed to see them just kind of casually toss in there that she died. Because it feels like something where it's like, oh, she just isn't in this movie. I was like, what? Come on.
Well, I caught it right in the beginning where it had like a little like a memorial.
Yeah.
Like sticker or placard for her right on the register. And this is before even like the written and directed by Kevin Smith comes on screen.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing that going, oh, I was like,
yeah,
oh no.
When I first saw that, I kind of felt
dialogue yet.
Yeah, well, I kind of felt a little betrayed when I saw that because I knew there was promotional images that had her in it with the rest of the guys. And I was just like, oh, that feels like trickery. What the fuck are you doing? But yeah, the truth is she is in this movie, just not a lot. She is
just very much deceased.
Yes. But that's part of where Dante's like acting chops, Ryan O'Halloran. Oh my god, he sells that story of just the grief that he's gone through, that his life has been kind of on hold since that event.
It's very weird how he can like convey all that with just an expression or a look, or just even with his posture and his stance. Like he gave us a lot in this. Like act in the sense of his performance, he gave us quite a bit.
But yeah, the story, it's the story that essentially we talked about last week. Randall has a heart attack, almost dies. He has what they call a widowmaker, which I believe is exactly what Kevin Smith had.
It was
20% chance of survival, that blockage, which Jeff and Kevin had the same end result. Fortunately, Randall, yeah. So Randall decides, you know what? I talk about movies all the fucking time. Let's make one. So he's gonna
fucking make one.
Yeah, he makes Clerks. He literally makes the first Clerks, which is
really before while they're in the hospital, we get an appearance by Amy what was it? Amy Steers?
Isn't it Sedaris?
Sedaris, yeah.
Yeah.
Amy Sedaris from Strangers with Candy, but she's dressed as a witch and she makes a joke saying that she was on her way to a costume party, which is a joke from Clerks the animated series, which is the first of many references to the animated series.
Yeah, I want to rewatch it. I missed that one. I did catch a couple, but I missed that one.
Yeah, that one's great because because in the animated series there's a part where there's an episode where the deadly Motaba virus from the movie Outbreak finds its way to the Quick Stop, and they have to seal it up. So there's a press conference held by the mayor, who happens to be dressed like Mayor McCheese, and he's like, coincidentally, I was on my way to a costume party, and I think, and earlier in that episode, I think the police chief gave one, and he was also Mayor McCheese because he was also on his way to a different costume party. That's just that was a reoccurring joke in one of the episodes, and they made reference to it in there. And also in that episode, they probably said my favorite joke from the entire animated series. Walt and Steve Dave were, of course, in the audience with the mayor. And, Steve Dave raised his hand asking, like, can the virus kill the Grimace? And the mayor's like, nothing can kill the Grimace.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but that animated series, I highly recommend it if you haven't checked it out. It was very short-lived. So it's like half a season. It's half a season, 20-minute episodes. It's funny, and you get most, if not all, the original voice cast, I want to say. I don't recall anybody.
Yeah, you get Brian O'Halloran, you get Jeff Anderson, Jason Mewes, and
I don't recall if Kevin Smith says anything, but I mean, he was involved in the production of that series.
Yeah, he does do voice a lot. At the end, they do a Jay and Silent Bob's, like a safety thing at the end of kids' episodes where it's Jay and Silent Bob, and where Jake is like, "Hey kids, I'm Jay, and I'm Silent Bob."
Yeah.
Kevin every time.
Nice.
Like, yeah, I know that he is, but you also get Alec Baldwin in 6 episodes.
I do not remember that at all, but yeah, I know.
Yeah, he was Leonardo.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah. But yeah, this movie, like, so, where are we at? So Randall's making
he has his heart
Clerks
attack.
movie. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's some of the filmmaking stuff they do is fun. Essentially, they're trying to figure out, okay, who's going to shoot it, and Silent Bob ends up being their cinematographer, their DP, which was a
mostly
fun
just
touch.
because his Instagram account is awesome.
Yeah, filled with great pictures. Holy shit! But like he's
funny. I follow Kev on Instagram. He does take some pretty cool pictures.
Well, he has this huge speech about why it's going to be in black and white. It's like, God, these colors are abysmal. We are not shooting this in color. We're shooting this in black and white also to show how this, like, kills the human soul. It's like this huge speech about, it's like, okay, cool. And it's also like, oh yeah, and we can shoot daytime at night and cover it up easier.
Yeah. We're going to go with it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was his huge speech. I liked the how they had Jay, like maybe it was supposed to be Randall misremembering, but it was Jay trying to say the line, you know, there's a million fine-looking bitches in the world. Not all of them will bring lasagna to you at work.
Oh, he couldn't say the line.
Yeah, he could do it,
which I believe was a actual part, because that line originally was going to go to Jay in Clerks, but he couldn't deliver it. So Kev's like, "Fuck it, I'll just fucking do it."
And that became the thing that Silent Bob gets his little like line in the movie.
Yep, and I really liked that. I liked all the nods to it because it really, I'd say it definitely was like maybe Kev stroking his own ego a little. I'm
kind of okay with it because like. He's going back to a time where he's made like just a good, fun movie, and I'm all there for the ride.
And where he was just having fun with his friends.
I'm not.
Yeah,
an argument can be made. Maybe this won't stand on its own if you're not a fan of the other two. That being said, I don't know. It might. It's pretty damn good.
It is. It's really damn good. Yeah. Throughout it, while Dante's asking Randall exactly what are we going to put in this movie, and he's realizing that maybe every single conversation we've ever had while we were in here, man, that shit should be in the movie.
Yeah.
And and then they start reminiscing about like everything, so they start referencing other movies. The first familiar face that we get to see is he's just like, hey, I'm burning 30. He's like, have a good night, and Randall just goes 37.
Yeah.
And he laughs. You're not putting that in the movie. You are not putting that in the movie. Later, we get to meet Veronica again.
Yeah. And then her and Dante get to reconnect.
After Veronica says some really mean stuff.
Yeah. And Dante has his head together. He goes and talks to her, and they reconnect quite literally.
Quite literally.
And again, like, I felt like this movie was gonna shape up into Dante's been like on hold for 14 years and he just needs to restart his life. Yes, he's older now, but he can still do it. And going straight into the biggest spoiler in the movie, that is not the direction the movie takes.
No.
They do a little bit of foreshadowing when Randall's in the hospital and he's getting better, where, Dante, you have a diet very similar to your friend. You should probably be careful for this as well. Because in the end, Dante does have a heart attack, except his is much more severe.
Yeah.
And the movie ends with one of the endings of the movie is Randall breaking into Dante's room, and he shows him the movie he made, which is essentially the original Clerks. And throughout the movie, it's been clear that Randall's gonna be the main character. But when he shows it to him, he confesses, "Dude, you've always been the main character in my life. You're the main character here too," which was so nice.
And it was a very rare moment of like Randall just showing his real vulnerability.
Yeah. No.
Which we've always kind of gotten some glimpses of in the past two movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like one, we kind of got a bit of it, but it was more of him being frustrated with Dante, essentially telling him to shit or get off the pot.
Yeah, which is true. He needed to in that movie.
He did. And even in the second one, he still like was saying like, "Dude, you're the only thing that I have stable." Like,
yeah.
I'm not dealing with you leaving that well. I'm not handling this well.
Well, yeah, there's that great moment in the second one where he tells Jay and Silent Bob, "Okay, cover your ears." And then he's like, "Dude, you're my best friend, like, ever. I love you, man." And it's actually a very sweet moment in the second one.
It is. Yeah, well, they just amped that one up in this, in that scene right there. I was a mess. I was a mess right then.
Yeah.
I was like, nope.
That's the thing. So
I did pretty good the whole movie up until that point.
Well, the big spoiler being that Dante sees the movie, and not long after that, he dies. And man, and Jeff Anderson sells the shit out of that. And it's worth noting, Ryan O'Halloran had all his stuff before then, where he was selling the shit out of his grief for Becky. And then you get Jeff Anderson's grief for Dante. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he had a scene where he went to go visit Becky's grave.
Mm-hmm.
And, the spirit of Becky came to him, whether it was in his own mind just to help him deal with his own grief.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that scene alone, he gave such a great monologue. Like, you saw his grief, his sadness, his sorrow, just how much pain he was going through living without her, and he's confessing all this to her. And I think it was something that Kevin made for a way that we could see how Dante's dealing with his time without Becky. How he's been able to like cope with it and still kind of have a conversation. It's kind of like going to like the headstone of a loved one and talking to them.
Yeah.
And I think in that moment during his coma where he's in the theater, right before he passes, how they visually depict it, which is I think what got me, is you see him watching it, kind of just laughing at it as it's happening. And then Becky comes up right next to him and he kind of looks a little surprised. And then he's like, "Hey, let's go." He pats her up because he kind of figured it out, like what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Don't you want to see the rest of the movie?" He's like, "No, I trust the director."
Mm-hmm.
And then he just walked away into the light. And right then I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
No. And that's when they cut to his like heart monitor lining in.
And Randall freaking out.
The eulogy, that he gave was really good too.
Yeah. It does make me think that Kevin Smith was I feel like the script's a little inconsistent on what they're going to do with Dante, which is an issue. But I definitely feel like, and they reference it, the original ending to Clerks was supposed to be Dante getting shot and killed. And so it ending with Dante dying. Okay, obviously he doesn't get shot because holy shit. But
it's like I'm gonna make a sequel. I'm not a fucking hack.
Yeah.
Did you get the special introduction by Kevin?
I got the special introduction, and I also got this fairly long behind the scenes thing after the credits.
Yeah, we didn't stay for all the behind the scenes thing, but we did stay for the voiceover during the ending credits of him just...
Yeah.
I think on the verge of tears himself.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, this is such a nice way to kind of close off this universe and this, like, chapter in his life. It's one of those things where it's like, if you were a fan of, like, his early movies, God, check this out as soon as it becomes available. This is just a nice closing. Yeah. A fitting closing. I I am, of course, fine if Kevin wants to revisit this universe if he's properly inspired. But if he's not properly inspired, I would definitely recommend leaving it here because this is just such a good ending for it.
I know recently he's been trying to legally fight a way to get the rights back to Dogma.
Yes, I've heard about that. Apparently they put up the rights for sale for like $5 million. And he didn't have the money, so I raised it. And when he went to go buy it, they're like, "Oh, for you? No, we're not selling to you." And it was just like, the fuck?
Harvey Weinstein's guys wouldn't sell it to him.
Yeah. I know.
I'm sorry. Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, and it was before all the allegations came out about Weinstein when Kevin had a little falling out with Harvey. Unrelated stuff, but Harvey Weinstein is a human piece of garbage. Everything I've seen from Kevin Smith seems like he's actually an unbelievably nice guy. So,
yeah, and hearing about I know that part of the reasons is when they had a falling out. I think it was over another film, and I know I had heard him talk about right before all those allegations and everything came out. I started thinking, I might have lost my cool, and it was after his heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
He said I might have lost my cool a little with Harvey, and he did help me out a lot. Maybe I should just reach out to him and see how he's doing, catch up.
Mm-hmm.
They called, and I said he called. We talked for a little while, and everything was good. And he said we planned to do lunch or whatever. And about a week later, all that started coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that he had gotten a phone call from him after that. And he was just kind of like, Harv, I don't know what to say to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's just kind of what Kevin kind of washed his hands with him. I'm good, man.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is interesting to look at Dogma because one thing Kevin Smith talks about, I don't remember if it's the beginning or the end of the movie. He talks about how when Lionsgate picked up Dogma for a brief little bit, it was Lionsgate's most successful movie ever.
Yeah.
Which was kind of interesting. Dogma is awesome.
It is. It is a great movie.
Yeah.
I'm also surprised at how many different actors that he got back that were in the original. I mean, I was not surprised he did 4 roles in the movie. At least 4 I counted. He did the guidance counselor. He did the guy who was highly offended.
Yeah.
He also was the guy who came in. He also recreated his scene with the Chuli's gum guy. That was also Walt there. And I think he was also one of the guys playing hockey up there, because I think that was most of the guys from Comic Book Men who were playing hockey on the roof against them. I mean, I recognized Brian O'Halloran, that beard.
Yeah.
Not Brian O'Halloran, but Brian Johnson.
Okay,
I recognize that beard.
Mm-hmm.
That's Brian Johnson.
Mm-hmm. We get a whole bunch of fun cameos when Randall's auditioning for the movie and then just says, "Fuck it, we're playing ourselves."
The cameos were great. Ben Stiller was fucking hilarious.
Affleck. It was Affleck.
Not Affleck, that's right. Fred Armisen, too. He was in there.
Yeah. Supergirl was in there. There's quite a few in there worth checking out. But yeah, God, this is good. This is a good ending to this trilogy. I've already said it, but listen, if you're a fan of Kevin Smith, check this out.
Just check this movie out.
He's had a very spotty track record recently. I don't know if he's got another good one in him, but this was a winner. This was good.
Now, I actually enjoyed Jay and Bob Reboot for kind of what it was.
Yeah,
I kind of saw it as him kind of poking fun at the whole notion of reboots and everything.
Mm-hmm. It didn't quite work for me.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I would have to rewatch it to really analyze it. I just remember a lot of it kind of falling flat for me.
I also kind of just saw it as a vessel for him to put his daughter as a lead.
Oh yeah, well that's the interesting question because I wasn't sure about this. So his daughter is in the end of this movie, and I don't know who she's supposed to be.
Jay's daughter.
So she's supposed to be Jay's daughter?
Yeah, that's what they found out at the end of Jay and Bob Reboot. That he and Justice had a kid.
God, I didn't remember
The
that.
Injustice.
That's
kid,
right.
yeah.
That does seem familiar. Okay. Brain farting on that. Okay. Yeah, I've only seen that one once.
Oh, we forgot to mention Elias in this one.
Yeah, I was about ready to say we should probably talk about Elias. He's a pretty big player.
Yeah, very major. So in the beginning, he has a very similar intro to as he did in Clerks 2.
Yeah.
He pulls up, this time as opposed to it being his family, he has a whole cult of people who are just following the same religious beliefs. But he says it's not a cult.
Yeah. Sure.
They're going to have these Christ kites.
Yeah. It has Buddy Christ on it, too, which is a great touch.
I thought that was fucking hilarious, yeah.
Oh, Buddy Christ is amazing.
And they apparently made it as an NFT, which, don't worry, that came into play later. To help get funding during the movie, Dante had called his ex-wife, or his
ex-fiancé, yes.
His ex-fiancé for help. And, he put up his third his half of the quick stop as collateral. So at the end, when he died, she ended up owning that because he put it up as collateral. So it's like, so guys, you're going to pay. She came in to say, pay me my money or I'm going to take this store and burn it to the ground as someone should have done a long time ago, just so she could collect her money. That's when Elias's friend, he kind of has his own little Silent Bob lackey throughout all this movie.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
There. But I think that guy who played him might actually be Harley's actual boyfriend. His daughter's actual. I think that guy is. I think I've seen. He looked really familiar, and I think I saw him on Kevin's Christmas post where it was the family, mostly the Clerks people, whole family. So that might have been it.
Okay,
but it was kind of cool, I thought. And anyways, their NFT ends up taking off huge, and they're able to pretty much buy her out. Yeah. They just throw her some money, and Elias is like, get the fuck out of my store. So and it was just more of Mr. Dante would be so proud of you right now, Elias.
So if they make a Clerks 4, it will be Randall and Elias.
Yeah.
I'm not really game for it without Dante, but
Yeah, but it does end on a shot that I have now seen in a lot of the trailers, which is that far panning out shot of the store and the two of them, and Dante just kind of looking over at Randall, and Randall just looking out at the store. Yeah, him just because it ends with him kind of saying to himself, "Really wish you were here, bud."
And then
I looked up and smiled.
You get Harley Quinn Smith doing the milk. Was she doing the milk thing or the egg thing? It was one of the two.
It was the milk thing.
Okay.
Which I believe the milk lady was played by Kevin's mother in the original.
It wouldn't surprise me. I love that they got a lot of people back, which was a great touch.
Rick Darris.
Yeah.
Rick Darris and Tracy Jones.
Yeah.
Because that was Tracy Jones, the sister to Alyssa.
Yes. Oh my God.
It gets confusing with the VSV movies. It gets a little confusing because so many of the characters are interconnected.
Yeah, so many characters are interconnected. So many characters are played by the same actor. It gets confusing, but it was
Rick Harris hadn't aged a day. Dude.
Yeah,
did you notice that?
Yeah,
it aged a day.
Fucking early days of cinematic universes.
He hadn't aged a day.
Well, anything to add before we sign out?
Oh no, this was a really, really great movie.
Yeah,
and
good ending.
Bravo, Kevin.
Bravo, Kevin. Bravo, Jeff Anderson. Bravo, Brian O'Halloran. Jesus Christ, bring your A games, guys. Boys. Oh, and
Jesus, boys!
I just want to mention, I love how Jay can't act at all. He is just. Whenever the loudmouth guy, all you have to do is pretend to be yourself, and he can't do it.
Well, I know that that's based off of a lot of truth. I saw an interview with Jason Mewes where he's like, well, all of that is just exactly how it was when we originally did it. I couldn't do it. And I've heard Kevin say the same thing. He's like, yeah, if you notice in Clerks and Mallrats, I'm standing right next to him. And the reason why is I pinch him whenever he has to say his line. So that he knows when he has to say it and do it. You could actually see it a few times in Mallrats. You could actually see me looking at him and just wincing a little bit.
Yeah.
But all of that was really based off of truth. I also like the scene where that mother in the beginning was holding her small kid and Randall saying really horrific shit to say.
Yeah.
I think that was a very nice call back to the original.
Yeah.
Because it was just more of like, oh, yeah, they used editing tricks before. Now he's making you say it, Jeff.
Yeah.
Now he's making you actually do it. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was a nice touch.
Because I know in the beginning he didn't want to say all those like porno titles in front of a kid.
Mm-hmm.
He felt wrong.
Now it's like, you're doing it. You're
fucking doing it now. Don't worry, I'm gonna turn you into fucking Brando.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah. God,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, he did. Holy shit.
Fuck, yeah.
God, the chops on those guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth
I
watching
can't
it for
say
nothing
enough.
else to see their chops. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I can't give this movie enough praise more than it already deserves.
Yeah,
it is truly his masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually okay if he just becomes a public figure now. Like,
yeah.
Kev in my opinion, Kev can retire from filmmaking.
No, his podcast is fun. Yeah, if you want to just keep on doing that and not really do the filmmaking, I'm okay with that. His track
Even
record
just coming on
movies
random
have been
stuff.
great. So
Yeah, or even just kind of being like, "Hey guys, I'm Kevin Smith, and I'm your host today for this."
Yeah,
that's cool.
Sure.
That's cool, Kev.
Let's see.
When are you going to be on like inside the new? Maybe he should take over inside the Actors Studio.
Sure, I've heard people rumor about him like taking over the Stan Lee cameos, which would be a fun touch.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
I mean, they are established to be in that universe.
Yeah. We see the Mallrats script in Stan Lee's reading in Captain Marvel. Yeah, nice touch.
And I think that was only put in there because the director is a huge Mallrats fan.
That makes sense. Well, it's also the right time period for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of works.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. Next week we're gonna be doing Rogue One, the next 3 episodes of She-Hulk, and then the next 3 episodes of House of the Dragon.
Oh, good! Finally, maybe those memes I've seen will make sense now.
House of the Dragon or She-Hulk?
House of the Dragon.
Oh, okay.
Nothing but,
I actually just got caught up yesterday, so yeah.
Okay, I was waiting because I did just do a lot of Lord of the Rings this week.
yeah. Lord of the Rings is it's getting interesting, but yeah, the first one's a bit much. But yes, so everyone, have a good one.
Take care.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't.
Do you enjoy pain?
Pain don't hurt.